I have first-hand experience of this one-child policy. Me and my cousins are mostly the only child in the family. When I grow up, it's quite common to be the only child. Like everyone in the class is basically an only child with some very limited exception. Sometimes I do feel lonely, like I need to deal with a lot of the teenage issues alone. And sometimes I thought that it would be more fun and it would be like I would have felt more comfortable if I had siblings to talk to, or I forgot like exactly when and how, but growing up we see every family is like this, and we probably studied or learned about it from school or newspaper as well, but probably school. So we understand that this is a national policy and everyone in China is supposed to follow this policy with some exceptions for the minority nationalities. So it didn't take a big part of my life to think about this. Yeah, but I think if I would have my own family and I will give birth to my own children, I would have at least two, just to like give them a less lonely growing up environment, provided if I can afford. The social or communication skills of my generation, Chinese kids or Chinese students, could have been better. Whether it's a lack of communication early on with your siblings, or it's a lack of school education, or it's a lack of like social gathering experience. So I think that the one-child policy may have a certain kind of impact in this area. Forced abortion. I think it's a very rough way to carry out a so-called policy. A forced abortion is very brutal, and I'm not supportive of it. Abortion should always be at the wish of the parent. Though things like a choice of boys over girls and forced abortion and maybe even kidnapping or human trafficking are all very bad incidents of population control. So I'm very sad if these things happen and if they have harmed people's lives physically or mentally. I think these are the unfortunate cases resulting from bad law enforcement or bad social traditions. But I think it is an interesting case. I believe it happens a lot in different families in China, but probably not every family is that successful. Some may still be operating in a quite traditional way. Boys are still preferred. I could see that happen in a lot of places as well. So different places or different families have their own speed in changing this issue. I think to look at it on a smaller scale, that each family are limited to the option, to this one option only. I think it's a limitation of the rights to choice, the right to choose. So it's not as free as people would have been. But I think to look at it on a larger scale, probably China needed it to efficiently change its economic structure. So I think on a large scale, I personally think China needed it to get things under control. And I'm very happy that now it has some different new rules and regulations to loose up this restriction, because I already heard from some of my colleagues who are giving birth to babies now that they want to have more than one kid. That's their personal wish, and I'm happy that there's this new policy or new rules that are coming out to cater to their needs. There are plenty of families or plenty of people saying that this should never have happened, that this is a restriction on human rights, and that they would have preferred to have the liberty to have more than one kid rather than to care about any national policy. So it really depends on the person. I think they have the right to think like that, because it's the only case in the world probably that you cannot have more than one kid being a Chinese citizen. I also have other colleagues who has just given birth to one child, and they wanted, very specifically, they wanted another child. So this rule will probably make them happy. I think it's possible to bring up 2 kids. But it's everyone's hope that the social services are managed well so that they're cheap and available. It's more freedom than the past, but probably not absolute freedom to have whatever kids that people want. But I think it would be nice to have this option if some people can afford it. Yeah. But provided that the society has the ability to scale up its economy as well, to create jobs at the same speed as the population can grow, because otherwise it will mean suffering. I think it would be perfect if there's no restriction, because it's not a natural restriction. It's not a natural thing.